Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good day I bid to everyone who is watching this video right now. I am Busyra binti Imam Afif, and today in this video I will be discussing about the 8 categories of English inflection. Before we dive right into all these categories of English inflections, we must first understand what exactly is meant when we talk about inflections in the English language. Although the term English inflections might seem a bit unfamiliar to us, but unbeknownst to us, we have been using these inflections every single day in our daily English conversations. Alright, so simply put, inflections are additions to words, and these additions are most commonly suffixes that are added to words that changes the form of the word. However, we must keep in mind that inflections do not change the meaning of the word or the grammatical category of the word. It only changes the word form. So for example, inflections don't convert verbs into nouns or nouns into adjectives. It only serves the purpose of adding distinction to the words that we use every day. That is why words that inflections have been added into them cannot be found in separate entries in the dictionary, because remember what we talked about? Inflections do not change the meaning or grammatical category. So even if you try to look it up in the dictionary, you will not find it. Alright, so before properly dissecting all these types of English inflections, it is important to note that some linguists have divided these 8 types of English inflections under 3 grammatical categories to assist in further understanding for us students. The first category is nouns, the second one is verbs, and the last category is adjectives. The first grammatical category that we will look into are nouns. So under nouns, there are 2 types of inflections. The first one is plural. This happens when you add an inflectional S to the end of a noun. So this addition signifies the quantity of more than one. For example, as you can see on the sides right here, is the sentence, I have a lot of cats at home. So the noun cat becomes plural when you add an S at the end of it. So I know right now, right off the bat, we can think of some other easy examples, such as pen becoming pens, chair becoming chairs, and etc. The second type of inflection that we can find under the grammatical category of nouns is the possessive apostrophe S. So the addition of apostrophe S behind a noun marks a relationship of belonging between one thing or another. So for example, Ahmed's cup of mulberry tea. So from this sentence, you know that the cup of mulberry tea belongs to Ahmed. Other examples that I can give right now are the girl's backpack, or the man's umbrella. Alright, so moving along to the second grammatical category of English inflections. So before this, we had 2 inflectional categories. Under the grammatical category of nouns, now we have 4. It might look like a lot, but please don't be overwhelmed. This is actually pretty simple if we go through it one by one. So that's what we're going to do right now. The first one is the third person singular present. And this happens when you add an S at the end of a verb. So this addition shows the third person singular in the present tense, in the now. The example that's given here is, she sits by the fireplace in the evening. So the verb sit has been added S at the end of it, and it has become a third person singular present. The next inflection is a very popular one, which is showing a progressive verb. And this happens when you add ing at the end of a verb. So the ing that is attached to the end of the verb serves the purpose of showing that an action is ongoing. As an example, we can say that Sonia is watching the new movie, Dune. Moving along, the third inflectional category under verbs that we can see is past tense. And this happens when you add an ed, which serves the function of placing an action in the past. So we can say that Joe watched the girl browsing for books in the bookstore. The verb watch becomes a past action when ed is added at the end of it. The final inflectional category under verbs that we can see is the addition of ed that results in the creation of a past participle. Don't get confused, although it might sound confusing, or you might wonder, what exactly is a past participle? To put it simply, a past participle is a participle that expresses a completed action. For example, we can say that she has worked here for 10 years. So the verb work that has been added ed at the back of it turns into a past participle. And at last, on to the third and final grammatical categories of English inflections, adjectives. So underneath adjectives, you can see that there are two types of inflectional categories. The first one is the comparative ER, and the second one is the superlative EST. All right, so the first one, the comparative ER. By adding an ER at the end of an adjective, it immediately compares two people or things. For example, I can say that Akil is taller than me, which would mean that I am shorter than Akil, which is also another comparative. The second inflectional category is that there is superlative EST. When the inflection EST is used at the end of an adjective, it serves to describe something as the highest quality or degree. So, for example, Akil is the tallest student in class. This brings the meaning that there is no one else, no other student in the class that is taller than Akil. So, as a quick recap, let us look at this diagram that portrays the tree or the mind map of the 8 categories of English inflections. These English inflections are divided into 3 grammatical categories, which are nouns, verbs, and adjectives, and underneath them we can find these different types of inflections. So under nouns, there are 2. Remember, the plural S and the possessive apostrophe S. Under verbs, on the other hand, there is the third person singular present, there is the progressive inflection, there's the past tense, and also past participle. And the last one, which is adjectives, which is my personal favorite because it's very fun and interesting, we have the comparative and superlative inflection. So to combine it all together, the 2 under nouns, and then there's 4 under verbs, and another 2 under adjectives, altogether we have 8 categories of English inflections. So from this video and from what we've learned, we can make the observation that English is not a very highly inflectional language, such as Arabic or Spanish. I think that would be the end of my presentation for today on the 8 categories of English inflections. I hope this video has been informative and helpful and also easy to understand, because that's what matters the most. Us understanding what we are learning as an English student. That is all from me. Thank you very much for listening.